So how much does Medicare drug coverage cost? It kind of depends on a few things, okay? So I'm going to go point by point, and hopefully this video will help you understand that part of Medicare. My name is Maribel, and I've been a licensed agent since 2018. I do Medicare, I do life insurance as well, but I love the Medicare part. There are different things that you can look at to choose your Part D plan, which is the drug coverage, which is required to have, even if you don't take medications. Okay? Hopefully, this video will make it a little bit easier to understand that part of the Medicare. And if you have any questions, anything you want me to help you with, leave a comment below, and I'll try to come back and answer your questions. Okay? So let's get right into it. Now, so how much does the Medicare drug coverage cost? Well, let's see. I have some notes here because I don't want to forget anything. And I like to talk a lot, especially Medicare. I get excited, I talk about it, and I explain things, but I don't want to miss any details. So I made some notes here. You're going to see me kind of glance at my laptop just so I can cover all the points that I want to cover. Okay, and then so that when I finish the video, I don't come back and say, oh gosh, I forgot to talk about this. Hopefully I get everything covered on this video. So the cost for the Part D, the drug coverage, it really depends on the plan that you choose. Okay, because there are plans available on every area in the country. Now, Medicare, as you know, I mentioned in the previous videos, is by zip code. So it could be a zip code that may not have the plan that your friend has. Okay? Your friend may have some medications that you don't take. And that way, her plan could be less money, right? Or she'll pay less out of pocket for the medications because they're different medications. So there's a lot of factors that go into what you're going to end up paying for that Part D drug coverage Medicare plan. Now, the premium. So the premium is the monthly amount that you pay to have that coverage. Okay? Whether it's prescribed medications or not. Okay? So again, it's a required coverage that you need to have in Medicare. That's the Part D for Medicare drug coverage. You can have it just as a Part D, just a separate plan, right? And keep your A and B, hospital and medical, and just have a plan. I talked about this on my first video on what Medicare is. I put a link in the description so you can look at it if you haven't looked. So you have your A, hospital, B, medical, and your D for drugs. If you happen to have C, which is the HMOs and the PPOs, you could have drug coverage on those plans. It's your choice to pick a plan with drug coverage. So in that case, you don't need D. Understand? Or you can pick a plan that's just Medicare Advantage, DMA, without the drug coverage. Then you do need the D for drug coverage. Okay? This one, the MA, the one with the drug coverage, usually will be like veterans, or someone that has some other type of drug coverage. But you have to have credible drug coverage so Medicare doesn't give you a penalty later on. Credible is an extremely important word when you have a Part D drug coverage plan on your own. For veterans, the VA that covers the medication, that is a credible plan, recognized as credible by Medicare. Not by the agent, not by you, not by that plan, no, by Medicare. Medicare has to recognize that coverage that you have for drugs as credible coverage. Okay? So for that, if that happens to you, you got to call Medicare and say, hey, this is the plan that I have for my medications. Is that credible drug coverage? Is that considered credible by you? They'll check it out. They say, yes, it is. Excellent. I can keep that. And then if you want, you can get the MA plan, the Medicare Advantage, without drug coverage. If you want to. If not, you can start with your A and B and go to any doctor that takes Medicare. Okay? You're not going to have those extra benefits that the plan HMOs or PPOs have. You know, those extra benefits, the gym, the food card, the flex card sometimes, the eyeglasses that they give you every year. Those little extras, you're not going to have it in A and B. Okay? So but those are things that you have to really look at. Now, what specific premium will you have for the plan D, for Medicare drug plan? It kind of depends on what plan you choose, really. You know, I mean, your income may affect. Let's say you have LIS, low income subsidy, because you qualify because of your income. Well, you could pay very little premium or none. It depends. If you have Medicaid, you know, it also is different. So it kind of depends on the plan that you choose. Okay. Now, what happens if you have certain time that you did not have coverage for medications? For example, you have Part A when you turn 65, then you ended up getting Part B at the same time or a little bit later because you dropped your group insurance, but you were healthy. And you thought, oh, I don't need medications, so I don't need a plan, right? You just take, you know, vitamins and you're healthy. Great, great. Medicare doesn't see it that way. Medicare sees that you need a medication, a drug plan, because you need to have that in place just in case. That's the way it is. There's no way about it. It's mandatory. So you decided not to get a Part D plan because you were healthy, because you didn't take medications. Now, 6 months, a year later, your blood pressure is a little high, the cholesterol is high, the doctor prescribes you, a medication for it. You decide to take it, and now it's going to cost too much if you don't have a plan. So it's a lot less costly if you have a Part D plan available. So here comes October to December, October 15th to December 7th, where you can add that plan, right? If you didn't do it before. And you say, well, Maribel, I need a Part D plan because I have this medication for whatever reason. It's costing me too much out of pocket. So I want to get a plan that will cover it for me. And I'm like, sure, let's check a plan. I don't want the C, I don't want the HMO or the PPO, okay? I just want the Part D plan. Even if you get an HMO or PPO plan with drug coverage, you will get hit with a late enrollment penalty because you did not have the drug coverage when you should have by Medicare requirements. Make sense? So make sure that you have drug coverage, whether within the HMO plan or in the PPO plan. And if you decide to just have A and B and then have the D for drugs, make sure you have it all at the same time. Don't delay just because you don't take medications. Because that penalty, it may not be $1,000 a month. It's a percent of the average national cost of a plan, blah, blah, blah. It just changes every year, kind of, okay? Every year that number changes. Is really, Medicare is the one that can tell you. No agent can tell you. We're not even allowed to tell you because Medicare is the one to let you know what's the cost. Is it $10 a month? Is it $20? Is it $3, $5, whatever it is. The point is that once you have that penalty, it will not go away. It will not go away unless you appeal and Medicare, takes it off. That's the only way it will go away. Okay? So once you have that penalty, your premium is going to change. Because the premium that you have for a plan now could be $25. And then the penalty that you have could be $10. And you're like, where's my premium $35 when you told me 25, Maribel? Because you have that penalty. And that penalty goes to Medicare, not to the insurance agent. Not to the carrier. Okay? It's going to go to Medicare. Nothing to do with the carrier. The carrier could give you could have a plan from a carrier that offers a zero premium because you qualify for that zero. Not qualify because if you're Medicaid, that penalty is waived. Okay? Let's make that clear. But let's say that plan is zero. You're lucky and you find a plan that is zero. Where there's an HMO or PPO with the drug coverage and it's zero premium. That's excellent. Right? You may not find that in just a Part D. Hardly ever. You're going to see a Part D at zero cost unless you have Medicaid. Okay? Or low income subsidies. But if you have HMO and PPO plan with drug coverage, whether you have Medicare or income subsidies, you could find a zero premium plan. You could. But you're still going to pay that $10 penalty to Medicare. Make sense? I just want to make sure you understand that, okay? Now, we're going to be talking about, there are different stages also. Let's see. The Medicare drug coverage has different stages. And it's very confusing to a lot of people. For example, there's a deductible stage, right? So, and this is for regular people. If you have Medicaid or low income subsidies, that deductible is waived, obviously, right? Because you're low income, you can afford that. So the deductible stage is basically is what you pay out of pocket before the plan starts covering your drugs, right? This year, 2026, that deductible is $615, right? Every year changes, no matter what, no matter who's in charge. Don't let people tell you blah, blah, blah. No matter who's in charge, these numbers always change. Rarely do they go down. That's just the way it is. Okay? Rarely do they go down. I don't remember ever seeing them going down. It always goes up by some. Part B premium goes up by some, usually. Every year it goes up. So in 2025, to give you an example, it was $580. Now in 2026, it's going to be $615. Okay? Some people might say, well, it's not a lot. But it could mean, a little more for other people. Remember, not every retiree is wealthy, right? And then you have the initial coverage stage. That's when you reach, let's say you pay your full deductible, if it has a deductible, because not every plan has a deductible for drugs, okay? Not every plan does. So if it has a deductible, so then you pay 25% of the cost of the co-insurance for your generic or brand drugs, right? Now, when the Part D, which is the drug plan, reaches about $2,000 in 2025. Now in 2026, it's $2,100, right? So that includes some payments, like payments that they pay by it's different ways. It gets complicated. Let's not complicate you. But when that is reached, then it's you pay that 25%. Now, if you have expensive drugs, then you automatically go into what is called the catastrophic, right? From that point on, you don't pay anything. You already reached that catastrophic stage. Those are usually for people that have expensive medications, very expensive medications. That's when you reach that stage. So now, when you have a plan, whether it's an HMO or a PPO that has drug coverage, or you have just a drug coverage plan, Part D, as in David, or drugs, there are ways that you can pay for the premium, different ways. So you can pay by your debit card, you can pay with a credit card, you can pay with a bank account, you can have it deducted from your Social Security check if you get one, automatically deducted, okay? So there are different ways to get that payment done. Or you can receive a payment book and send a check in if you use checks. Some people do, okay? And some people also have the way that they like to do is just pay for the whole year, right? So in that case, when you do that plan, and this goes for any plan, the HMO or PPO or Part D plan, even those other supplement plans that we're going to talk about in the next video, the premium gets paid either of those ways. If you want to pay 6 months in advance or the whole year in advance, some people do that, then you choose the payment book. Because once you get the payment book, you can just send in the check for the full amount. You may continue to receive a bill, but it's going to say zero amount due. Why you get a bill? Well, because the system just kicks it out automatically. It happens many times for many carriers, okay? So don't get confused with that. Now, how can you lower your drug cost? That's a big question. A lot of people have that because unfortunately many people at this age and as they get older, they have situations that they need drugs are costly. Situations come up, conditions come up, right? There are several ways. One is if you qualify for Medicaid, that is a federal joint state program, and that will cover for the medical cost, right? When you have a condition and you need, that help because you're low income, right? You can also have the extra help. Extra help is not Medicaid. It kind of goes hand in hand, but some people have that and not Medicaid, and vice versa. Okay, extra help is basically a low income subsidy. They call it LIS. So what that does is that it lowers the premium, and it lowers the co-payment for the drug. Right? There's a chart, and it tells you what you'll be paying. Every state has it. Different states have different cost. Basically, that's what it is. Now, there are state pharmaceutical assistance program, also known as SPAP, SPAP, State Pharmaceutical Assistance Program. You could apply for this in your own state, and that will help you with the cost of the drugs. Okay, keep that in mind. If the drugs are too much, ask your agent to let you know how to apply for the state pharmaceutical program. Most agents know, and if they don't know, they will find out for you. Okay. Also, you can go to the Social Security office and say, hey, I want to apply for my state pharmaceutical assistance program. I need help with my medications. And they're able to help you out. Okay? But your agent should be able to help you out with that. Okay? It's part of a good job done by a good agent. Okay? Now, pharmaceutical assistance program, not state, just pharmaceutical assistance program, is sometimes called PAPs, PAPs. Now, some pharmaceutical companies, they do offer this, and it helps with medications. You have to enroll, and then it helps you with the cost of the medication. That is directly with the pharmaceutical companies, not the state, just directly with the pharmaceutical companies. and also the Medicare Prescription Payment Plan. Now, this year, the the carriers have come up with a medication prescription drug plan payment plan. So it's a payment plan within that plan. So let's say last year you spent, I don't know, $1,000 a year on medications out of pocket. Well, you're kind of expecting the same thing, because when your Medicare agent is going to show you your plan, in this case, if you want an HMO or a PPO with drug coverage or just the Part D coverage, either way, he or she's going to have to put your medications in there to make sure that they're covered and what the estimated cost will be for the year. When that's done, and you see that the estimated cost is going to be about whatever, $1,000, let's say, you're going to call that carrier, not the agent. The agent cannot do that for you. You call the carrier once you have your card. You enroll into the plan, you receive your card, you're going to call the carrier and say, hey, I want to enroll in the Medicare Prescription Payment Plan because I know that I'm expected to pay about $1,000 for the year. And I want to make it easier for myself, right? That is something that could be done by the carrier. That's really important to know, because a lot of people go through the scenario that here comes, you get drugs every 3 months, and every 3 months you have to pay whatever, $300, $400, $500, depending on the medications. Hopefully a lot less if you don't take a lot of medications, or medications that are expensive. But if you do get medications that are expensive, and you already know that you're expecting to pay about that much, or an amount that you're not comfortable with within your budget, you can make that payment plan and make it easier on yourself. Okay? I hope this video helped you out. I hope it got value for you. If it did bring value, make sure you leave a comment on the video. Leave your questions there. I'll come back and answer the questions. Reach out if you need to reach out. It's a pleasure to give you this information, and hopefully it helped a lot of people. My name is Maribel, and I'll see you in the next video.